Now, when I started looking at this, I'm like, okay, God, you want me to talk about what we learned in kindergarten. What does that have to do with our spiritual walk? He goes, well, what did you learn in Sunday school? What did you learn in children's church? What did you learn sitting on the second row in church services growing up? What were the things that stood out to you that you remember being this tall? I'd made me a list of things that just we learned really young in a young age, but for some reason, as we got older and life got busy and we got things on our plates and we started doing things and having kids and having jobs and having lives and things that we're constantly doing, some of the really awesome things that we learned when we were this tall, if you grew up in church like I did, we forgot. My first one is God does the impossible through normal people. And I wrote some people's names down that just stood out to me. Samson. Samson was just a normal guy with some long hair. Had to stay obedient, didn't he? Life kind of fell apart when he cut his hair. Moses, just an ordinary guy. His mom saved his life, put him in a basket, floated him down the river, which in our world nowadays, we'd be going, that's saving his life? Sounds a little questionable. But sent him down, and his story as God just kind of protected him and put him in place in different areas before he became one of the most influential people. He stood up for his country. He stood up for his people. Acted a little abruptly and took off and ran for his life. And then God sent him right back to the same place that he ran from. King David. I mean, we could spend all day, we could probably do an entire one-day conference on just everything that King David did. How God protected him. I called him at a young age. Why he picked up 5 stones. Why this happened, this happened. All the cool things about King David, and he was just a guy just like you and me. He just believed in his God. David, we learned really quickly that if we trust God, if we're not fearful of the giants, not fearful of the other army, God can do amazing things through us. Joshua and Caleb. I remember this story as a kid that Moses called them up and they were hitting the Canaan land, and Moses couldn't go in, but he was still kind of looking over the edge, wanted to see it, and said, I need 12 spies to go in, and 12 of them went in and saw things, and when they all came out, 10 saw one version and 2 saw the other version. 10 of the spies looked and said, listen, it's too big, it's too difficult, it's too hard. We can't overcome this. It's more than we can handle. The giants are too big. The land is too fierce. It's too much for us to handle. The other 2 spies, Joshua and Caleb, said, no, God can handle it. God honored those 2 that trusted in him, that believed in him. The ones that didn't believe, the ones that didn't trust, didn't see the best in what they were going to do, were actually removed from the planet. It's a nice Sunday morning version of calling it. Joshua was later who Moses chose, who God chose, and who Moses anointed to carry the Israelites across the river. Awesome warrior.